Hello, welcome to Mr. B's Ukulele channel. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy watching.
This is my tutorial for Dream a Little Dream of Me, produced by the Mamas and the Papas in 1968, although the song originally dates back to 1931, and I would recommend also looking at the Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald song from that era, because that is a great version of this as well, so that you can experience different versions and then have a go at playing it by yourself as well. So it's a new level 5 song. There were some quite tricky chords and some quite tricky chord transitions in it, but actually it's quite a nice slow and leisurely song. So it really is just a case of making sure we're familiar with quite a few different chords, and there's nothing too demanding in the song in itself. So it's a level 5, but really just down to the variety of chords that are in the song. And once you get your head around those, it should be a nice, quick and easy one to pick up. So let's get into it. We're going to have a look at those chords. We're going to look at the strumming patterns. There's just a couple of variations on the strumming, but it's relatively straightforward all the way through. And then we'll have a bit of a walkthrough and a demo of the song. Okay, here we go. So for the chords for the song, there are quite a few different chords in this. If you have a look at the sheet music, you'll see on there that I've put, I think it's 11 different chords in the song, so quite a bit to make sure we're familiar with and always know where your fingers are going. It's always good to be trying to look ahead at the next chord and know where your fingers are about to transition to, and it's about getting all those transitions nice and smooth, and that's the trick of the song. So let's just play through each chord, make sure we're comfortable with where the fingers need to go, and then we'll have a look at some of those transitions we need for the different lines of the song. So I'm going to look at the easy chords first of all, and then I'm going to look a little bit more in depth at the slightly harder chords, the 3-finger ones that we need to know for this song. So let's look at the easy ones first of all. We've got an A7, first finger, first fret on the C string. We've got our C chord, nice and easy. And of course the G chord, which I'm sure we're familiar with. Now then, they're the easy ones. Oh, hopefully the E7 as well is not too... Hopefully that's familiar with us. E7, first finger on the G string on the first fret, second finger on the C string on the second fret, third finger on the A string on the second fret, E7. So that's quite a nice one. It's one that's used in quite a few of my songs. Hopefully we've come across that before. Okay, let's look at some of the more unusual ones now. We've got a B minor. And that's quite a stretch chord. That one's quite a tricky one. You've got to really stretch your fingers across. We'll look at that in a second. The problem with the B minor is it comes up quite a bit in the song, so it is one you need to be able to use quite comfortably because you're going to have to put it in quite a lot. So on the second fret, it's our first finger across the bottom 3 strings, so the C, E and the A, and then on the 4th fret we are going up to the G string there with our 3rd finger. So it's first finger across the bottom 3 strings on the 2nd fret, 4th fret on the G string there with our 3rd finger. It should sound like this. Okay, that's the B minor. We've also got an F minor. Can either be played with the little finger or the 3rd finger. And that's the first finger on the E string on the 1st fret, 2nd finger above it on the G string, and then either 3rd finger or little finger on the A string on the 3rd fret, so the C chord position. Okay, and we've also got a C minor, which is your 3rd finger across the bottom 3 strings on the 3rd fret, so across the C, E and the A. So there's some of the harder ones, and then we've got 4 chords that use the same fingering sort of pattern but in different parts of the ukulele, so I thought we'd look at these together. So we've got a normal G, which we've already mentioned. We've got a G7, which is also 3 fingers. We've got a B7, and we've got a G flat minor. And if you have a look at those 4 diagrams, you'll see how similar they all are. And actually the G, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, is very similar to a B7, but we just lift it up. So from the G to the B7, we just lift the whole thing up. So we don't move, we don't change our finger position, we just move the whole hand up a string. And that's a quick and easy way of remembering how to do the B7. So it's first finger on the E string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger above it on the top G string, and 3rd finger on the side on the 3rd fret there on the C string. That's the B7. Now again, if you look at the G7, which I'm sure we're familiar with, first finger on the E string, first fret, second finger on the C string, second fret, and third finger on the A string on the second fret. If that's our G7, the G flat minor, we just lift the whole thing up a string, and there's the G flat minor. So we've got the G7, and then don't change your finger position, just lift the whole thing up one string, and there's your G flat minor. Okay? So a lot of chords there to become familiar with. So I would, don't forget, as always, you can download the sheet music through my Dropbox account, and the link for that is in the video description below, and you can then go into the songs, and this is one of my level 5 songs, so you can find the sheet music, and I would just get it up on screen and spend a bit of time going over all those chords and making sure you're comfortable with them all. Don't forget, you can always do that with all my songs. But what I'm going to do now is give you a bit of a walk through some of the song and talk about the chord transitions you will need. Before we do that, we'll have a quick look at the strumming, which is very simple, but we'll really focus in a minute on the chord transitions and which order you need to play the chords in, because actually knowing how you're going to move from one chord to the other is really key in a song like this with so many different chords. Okay, quick look at the strumming, which is basically down, down, up all the way through. Stars shining bright above you, night breezes seem to whisper I love you. Except it's not quite, because at the end of the second verse, which is repeated twice through the song, the end of the second verse, we just do 2 single down strums. So I'll just do the line that includes that. Dream a little dream of me. And that's actually the line that's repeated at the end of the song to finish the song with as well. I'll come to that later on. But that is a really easy variation on the strumming. It's just 2 single down strums, and if you have a look at the sheet music that I've done with the song, you'll see that I've colour coded that green, so it's nice and easy to spot. Dream a little dream of me. Okay, so that's the strumming, which is really easy all the way through. The only thing I would say though is do make an effort to really do a nice clean up strum. Stars shining bright above you. Because if you're not careful with the strumming, you can quite easily fall into the pattern of just doing 2 down strums and then a gap. Stars shining bright above you. And it works, it just becomes a bit more stilted. It just doesn't flow as nicely. So just make a conscious effort to catch that nice third strum, the up strum there, and just gives the piece a bit more rhythm, and the whole song will flow a little bit more smoothly. So just be aware of that. It's very easy to drop that by mistake, and then the song doesn't quite flow as nicely. Right, let's get into a walkthrough of the song and look at those chord transitions that you will need. So we've talked about all the different chords that you will need in this song, and there are quite a few, as we have discussed. Let's look line by line at which combinations of chords you really need to be practicing. So I think that really helps when you practice a chord. It's very easy to think, okay, my third finger's there. Oh, I can play a C chord. But actually, can you play a C chord when you're moving from an F to a G to an A minor and back to the C? Can you remember where to put it? That's the trick of any song, putting the chords in the right place. So let's look at some of the more complicated chords and how you will approach them in this song. So it starts off with a nice pattern on a C to the B7 to the C minor and to the G. I actually really like this chord transition. It's a really nice pattern, that, because actually the fingering just flows really smoothly on the ukulele. So our C is our third finger on the A string on the bottom there, of course, which means our first and second finger are free to go to the right place for the B7 on the second fret. B7, and all I did there with my C finger, my third finger, was lifted up onto the C string. So I go for the bottom string, I go up 2 strings, and I bring my first and second finger into place. So C, B7 is actually a really nice transition. It's quite an easy approach to the B7, and you'll always have the B7 in that order. So it's really nice. Actually, the B7 is not a hard chord to play once you've learned where your fingers need to go. The C to the B7 works really nicely every time. And then the C minor, your finger's already at the top of the C minor. If you look at where the C minor fingering is, your finger is already there. Now, I have put on the C minor chord diagram second finger, because if you approach it on its own, sometimes you might want to use your second finger. But in this instance, I'm going to say use your third finger for the C minor, because your third finger is already on that C string, which is the top of the semi-bar that we do. So all we do there from the B7 to the C minor is take off your first and second finger and flatten that third finger across the bottom 3 strings. And then we jump onto the G at the bottom. But our first and second finger, you've just taken them off, you're going to put them back on slightly lower, and then your third finger, you're going to go from flattening it, you're just going to slide it down and find that E string towards the bottom. So it's a really nice transition. C minor to the G, just slide that third finger down into the right place and add your first and second finger again. And you've got that really nice transition. So that's C to the B7 to the C minor to the G. Just flows really nicely. Let's just do the line. We'll do the strumming, then we'll add the vocals. So it's C, B7, C minor, G. Do it again. C, B7, C minor, G. We'll add the vocals in a little while actually. I think we'll just carry on focusing on the chords for now. Second line then goes C, B7, A, and A7. Now the A and the A7 are really easy, and the B7 to the A is also easy. Because another quick tip, your second finger there is already in the right place on the B7. So B7, you don't need to move your second finger. You take your third finger off and move your first finger, and that's an A. That's really easy. Just have a look at the diagrams and you'll see how that works. Just practice that one. Nice, easy transition. Then we go third line to the F, to the F minor. Now, the thing about the F minor, it is a bit of a tricky chord to play, but when you go from an F, it's actually really easy. So F to F minor is a lovely chord transition that just works every time. So your first finger is always in the same place on the F and the F minor. So what you do with your second finger, you just slide that up onto the first fret, sorry, on the top string there. So you same string, just slide it up, and then you add your third or your fourth finger onto the A string at the bottom. So F to F minor. Now the only thing I would say there, I often use my little finger on the F minor just for ease and I'm not stretching so much, but you're about to go to a C chord, so obviously if you've got your third finger in position there, that's more comfortable for the C chord in a second. So we'll go F to F minor to the C. So that's a nice one as well, so have a careful look at that. F to F minor to the C. And then you're going to go C minor, G, C. So again, we just slide our third finger up for the C minor, then we play the G, and then back to the C with an E7 on the end. The E7 is just a case, it's one of those where I just think, just learn where it is, and you're going to jump to it quite quickly. So just be able to jump to the E7. It's quite a nice, easy chord to find. It's visually, it's on the end of the neck, so it's quite an easy one to remember where your fingering is. So just get used to jumping to an E7 quickly, and you can just fit that on the end there. Okay, let's have a quick demo of the verses. I'll give you verse 1 and a little bit of verse 2, which is very similar but just varies at the end. So I'll just demonstrate verse 1 and then the final line of verse 2, which is slightly different, just so you can see how all those chord patterns fit together. So it starts with that C, B7, C minor, G that we talked about. Here we go. Stars shining bright above you, night breezes seem to whisper I love you. Now the F minor, birds singing in the sycamore tree, dream a little dream of me. Now the first time through you've got the G7 on the end, so it's dream a little dream of me. But then at the second verse, the ending goes like this. Dream a little dream of me. And that's where you've got the two down strums on the C minor and the G. Dream of, and then the E7 on the end of that line as well. Dream a little dream of me. E7, there we go. Then we go into the chorus. Now the chorus is another challenging part of the song. So let's break that down again and look at it carefully. Okay, for the chorus, we start on an A, which is nice and easy. Then we go to a G flat minor, which actually, this follows really nicely, because an A to a G flat minor is a beautiful transition, because all you're doing is adding your third finger. If you look carefully at the diagrams, the A and the G flat minor are very similar chord shapes. So you've got your A and your G flat minor. All I'm doing is adding my third finger onto the second fret there on the E string. So A to G flat minor. It's just a beautiful transition. It's so easy, because all you're doing is adding that third finger. I've got my first two fingers already in the right place. I just need to add that third finger underneath. So that's the opening there. Then you've got to go to the B minor. Now this is the one that sometimes I find myself jumping to the wrong position. I don't quite get the fingering right. So it's the G flat minor to B minor is the tricky one. So A to G flat minor to B minor, and then an E7 on the end. As I said before, just get used to jumping to the E7. Make sure it's one you're really comfortable with, so you can just jump to it whenever you need to. But it's the B minor here that we've got to be mindful of. So it's our first finger on the second fret across the bottom three, and then our third finger up on the fourth fret. So you've got to jump to that B minor really quickly and confidently. So you're going to be on the G flat minor. So you're going to just bring that first finger from that position to that position. So first finger from there to suddenly there, doing a full bar, semi-bar across the bottom three strings, and then add that third finger. So we're going to go from there to there, there to there really quickly. So A, G flat minor, B minor, and E7. And that's really the tricky transition for the chorus, and it does that twice. So let's just do a demo of the chorus so you can see how that fits together. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear. Quick trick there, linger on the word linger. You've got to sort of spread that out slightly, and then you're going to do the word on across the E7. I'll do that one more time so you can hear that. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear. Still craving your kiss. And again. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear. Then A, just G flat minor, saying a C minor there, this. And we sing the word this across the change into a G chord. This. And then we're back into the verse. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you, and it carries on the same as the other verses. Then we do the chorus again, and then we do the ending. And the ending goes like this. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be. Then the dream a little dream 3 times. Dream a little dream of, with the down strums. Dream a little dream of, dream a little dream of me. And then I like to just use my thumb for the final strum at the end. Dream of me. And that's the song. That's Dream a Little Dream of Me. I hope you enjoy learning that one. Do take care, and thanks for watching.